The WWE 2K series has been a massive part of Saber Jewel Gaming's content, from having our own My GM mode and My Rise mode, to special annual shows that I put on as live streams. It's been a mainstay of everything I've done since day one, and I've utilised WWE 2K16 onwards. But instead of looking back at the previous games, right now today, I want to look forward as we ask, what to expect from WWE 2K24? Well, first of all, I think we know we can expect all the things we've seen in the game so far. You're going to have My Rise, My GM mode, you're going to have My Faction or some other similar type mode to that. I think we can expect to see a number of improvements in those areas. My GM mode, for example, has over the past couple of years increased in the number of different brands that you can use, from originally just Raw, SmackDown and NXT to now include WCW and NXT 2.0. Who knows, we might even see ECW thrown into the mix this time around. It's also had a wider range of matches, and whilst now pretty much all matches including Triple Threat are available, it's always possible that we might get even more match types. After all, War Games was added to the mix last year, and it was never seen in My GM mode. Also, matches like the Royal Rumble have never been seen in there. And overall, pay-per-view to pay-per-view, the My GM mode is hit and miss, random. Maybe we'll see a bit more structure in it this time around. What about My Rise? Well, there's been two different game modes within My Rise quite recently, Legacy and The Lock, I believe they were called. However, both of them have made you use a created character, and whilst I understand the logic to that, I'd really like to see a mode that goes back to being allowed to use a WWE superstar instead of having to create a character and work through that way. Maybe a storyline mode would be really good, something like that. But that's not why you're here. Minor tweaks and additions are all well and good, but the two things people really want to know, well, let's say three things. 1. Which wrestlers are we going to see added to the mix? 2. Who's going to be the cover star? And 3. That 2K showcase mode that started so fantastically with Stone Cold Steve Austin in 2K16, and in the previous year, just gone, 2023, saw us taking on John Cena throughout his career. Who are we getting this time around? Well, let's start with that showcase mode. The smart money currently has been on this featuring Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, or Wyndham Rotunda to use his real name, who recently passed away, has been a massive fan favourite for fans for years. There has been a lot of speculation that 2K24 will feature him heavily. However, whether that is him having his own specific DLC or this showcase game mode is not yet certain. And what about other wrestlers that we might see? Well, WWE 2K games have always had that steady balance between wrestlers leaving or signing for other companies so they can no longer use their rights, Legends deals expiring so they can't use their likeness, and of course signing new wrestlers that they will use. But who's going to make the cut this year? Well, let's start with the best in the world, the elephant in the room. For wrestling fans, the recent signing or recent return of CM Punk was massive news. And for gamers, the excitement of being able to pit CM Punk against wrestling's greatest once again must be a tantalising prospect. However, I am not expecting to see him in the initial release of the game. WWE 2K24 is effectively made. The game is due to be released in a matter of about 3 to 4 months. So I can't imagine that CM Punk will quickly be fitted into it. However, I do think there's a very big possibility that he will be put in as a DLC, a character that can be downloaded later in the season. So whilst we're not going to be able to have the best in the world right from the get-go, and I certainly think this rules him out of being on the front cover of the game, I do think we will see him quite quickly down the line. However, one AEW signing I do think we'll get in the game is Jade Cargill. This established and very impressive women's superstar from AEW that came over and has recently signed with WWE, should be able to make the cut. This would be her first time in a WWE game, and I think a lot of people would be quite excited to pit her up against the likes of Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Speaking of the female wrestlers, another person I'm speculating we might see is AJ Lee. Married in real life to CM Punk, AJ Lee hasn't been seen in the WWE or WWE games for a very long time, but now that CM Punk's back, her name has already been dropped on screen for once for the first time in years. So could we see her back in the game? Whether she's in it from the start or not, signing a Wrestling Legends contract is up for debate. However, there's no reason why she couldn't be in the same DLC as CM Punk. It would certainly make an interesting pack. As for the Wrestling Legends, we tend to get the same ones every year, and the fact that we have to purchase those same ones every year does feel like a bit of a scam. However, this year, it appears we're going to get 2 new legends we haven't seen for a very long time. Following their recent signing of WWE Legends contracts, it is now being heavily rumoured that Team 3D, the Dudley Boys, Devon and Bubba Ray Dudley will appear in the game. The Dudley Boys were one of WWE's most dominant and popular tag teams. The fact that you have tables matches, which was their specialty, within the game would make it fit even better. Again, whether these characters will be in it from the start or part of a DLC is not yet confirmed. We could even see a special edition that would also allow us access to ECW in MyGM mode, and maybe even an ECW arena. And lastly, who can we expect to see on the front cover of the game? Well, there have been a lot of people speculated, from Rhea Ripley as the leader of the Judgment Day, to Roman Reigns as our tribal chief and leader of the Bloodline. Whilst either of these would deserve the place, I don't see either of them on the front cover of the game. And like speculated earlier, despite being a wild outside favourite, I also don't think we're going to get CM Punk on the front cover or in the first draft of the game. For me, it comes down to 2 people, Cody Rhodes and Bray Wyatt, and I do think we might actually see both of these. I think Cody Rhodes will be the perfect cover star, especially for the main version of the game, but I do think where we might see Bray Wyatt is in a special edition that includes a couple of unlockable versions of him. But overall, those are my thoughts on what we can expect from WWE2K24, at least so far. Obviously, as more news is announced, I'll make sure to keep people informed, but until then, what do you think we might see in 2K24? More importantly, what would you like to see? Comment below, let me know. And until next time, take the high ground.